I'll start with you, Myles, actually, first of all. Jump right in with the Villa. New kit release, it's looking good. Players coming and going. There's a lot happening at Villa right now, but I think the big one for me is Moussa Diaby's leaving after a weird and crazy whirlwind 12 months at the club, going to Saudi Arabia again, which has mixed feelings for a lot of fans. But how are you feeling about that one, first of all?
Yeah, to be fair, I probably should cover up the Reebok badge for the recording as we move on to Adidas. Diaby's it's a sad one in some ways, because I think we saw what Bailey did after having some time to settle. Last season, it really kind of blew up for him. And if anything, Diaby was posting better numbers in his first season than we saw of Bailey early doors. So you were kind of waiting for that same escalation to take place and him to have a really big key role this year, particularly when you consider that he featured a lot more than I think people really recognised last year, because he wasn't starting every game, but he was still a vital part of Villa's progression to the Champions League. And it's a player who has European experience, a player with a really high ceiling, and would inevitably have had an excellent impact as we kind of competed on all fronts this year. So it's a shame to lose that kind of quality from your squad. But then the other side of that is you've made 20 million profit on a player in a year who isn't an essential part of the 11. Like, he's not one of the pillars of this Aston Villa side that it's built on. It would be a lot heavier to lose Martinez or Watkins or even Bailey now, you would say. Yeah, it's mixed feelings about it. You take the financial gain and what it enables us to do across the rest of the window, as long as we do have a replacement in mind.
Yeah, he was a popular player, wasn't he, in his short stint at Villa, and I thought he was one of the most entertaining signings of last summer window. I thought he was a really impressive kind of attacking contribution to Villa, and whenever he did feature, he made a difference, and that was a big thing for me. And I think that combined with Douglas Luiz leaving as well, we'll talk about the incomings in a minute, Myles, but I think that feels like a big hole out of the team, but you don't seem as worried.
I think that I'm not worried, because we've shown already in this window that we are willing to address the issues we have. And when you bring in that kind of money for a player, like we're talking about 60 million, that's a lot for a player that you brought in for about 40 the year before. I trust the whole club right now and the structure that we have in place to identify the right person to replace that. And I know we'll come on in a bit probably to talk about the reintroduction of Jaden Philogene into the side, and I wonder if that's an idea of replacement, and there are other players coming back from injury that can kind of fill gaps in the side. So we've got squad depth, and one of the things that we need to do to really bring in that star quality is bring funds in, and we've done that pretty successfully. And if we sell Duran as well, we're talking about nearly 100 million for those two players alone. Now, I reckon a lot of that gets invested back into the side.
100%. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, stepping up to the Champions League still feels surreal, doesn't it? And I'm guessing you're going to get the Champions League badges on your new Villa shirt when it comes, right?
Yeah, certainly.
But yeah, Dave, I'll move on to you and talk about Diaby's move to Saudi Arabia as well, because we've been critical in the past about players moving in that direction, but the kind of sums of money that they're receiving in wages is insane, isn't it? And it's career-changing, it's life-changing, and you can kind of understand to a degree why Diaby will take this opportunity and maybe spend a couple of years over there and fill his boots in some ways. But sad to see him leave the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a situation I think that's come about. I think it was a similar situation with Bailey actually last season. We wondered whether this would be a moment where he'd move on, or he'd actually come to the fore and start to really make a difference. Similar sort of situation for me. It's just unfortunate, really. I think how it's come about. It probably did take a bit more adaptation. Probably we mentioned about him becoming a little bit unsettled in the area, and I think that's probably had an impact on his performance as the season's gone on. I thought he started the season quite strongly, and as the season went on, obviously it didn't feature as much in the starting lineups. And I think it's a good opportunity for Villa. I think if this team's come in and offered them money in this situation, where they're now looking to reinvest back into the team to obviously improve on the squad and improve that starting 11, because they've obviously lost Douglas Luiz, who was a big player for them in the last couple of years especially. I think it's a perfect moment for them to cash in. Let's be honest, he's not a young player anymore. I think this is probably the moment where they thought, do you know what? If his heart's not in, I don't want to say his heart's not in the club, but if he doesn't feel 100% comfortable at the club in this country, then it's probably worth moving on. and seeking pastures new. But I thought it was a great player to watch when he was on his game. But I just thought that he could have had a better season for me. Without it started, I thought it started really promising, but it did tail off.
He gave us some brilliant moments through the season, definitely. And I think Villa fans won't begrudge him this move, actually, because last summer he came to Villa as opposed to going to Saudi then. Like, that was the big offer on the table. Same team as well. And he made the choice to come to Villa for a year. He's helped us achieve our goal. He was definite highlights, and we'll all remember some excellent goals and some assists from him. So, yeah, I'm not gutted by it, I'll be honest. It's a shame because it's always nice to see a player grow with your club and do well, but it's not one that stings maybe as much as seeing Louise go.
Yeah.